So
Good to
before we
see.
start, I have one
Yeah,
request from you. If you could
sure.
pin us both, me and Amishi Sinwar, on your
I
screen.
do you want me to do what?
I want you to pin us both, the host, me and Amishi Sinwar.
Pin the host. Okay, one
Yes.
sec.
अमर वो नौजवां होगा रहेगी जब तलक दुनिया यह अफसाना बयां होगा। आज के इस एपिसोड का सार कुछ ऐसा ही होने वाला है।
Greetings to all our viewers and welcome to season 4, episode 3 of Coffee with Calliope, the show where we brew interesting conversations with some of the most influencing voices of our country. So pour yourself a cup, sit back, and let's embark on this journey.
I am Mamishi Seaver along with my co-host.
Vishal Jambal.
Folks, the time is 1800 hours and with us is a man with timeless legacy, Mr. Vishal Batra, a motivational speaker, a distinguished banker, and the proud brother of posthumous Param Vir Chakra awardee, Captain Vikram Batra.
So, for you today, we have got some very special questions lined up. But before we get into that, let me ask you, sir, how has your day been?
So, Vishal, the day has been a beautiful one. In fact, I was in Mumbai for the last 2 days for some meetings with the Naval headquarters here, which is the Western Naval Command, and of course, then I had some meetings in my head office with my boss and with the managing director. And luckily, the day is as good as you want to plan it out. To be very honest, that's the way I always look at life, because the day never unfolds until unless you really plan the day. So generally, in my life, the days are planned and they're very scheduled with respect to the meetings or any other engagement which I have during the course of the day. So it's been a lovely day and thanks for asking. I hope the day was good for you guys as well.
So, it just got better, and I'm so glad that it was good for you as well.
Thank you.
Sir, how does it feel to be speaking to college students now?
Uh, It's always been very nostalgic. Reason is, while I've been talking at a lot of places around, and every time you go and address the students, you get a different vibe. Reason is, the present generation is very, very different from what we used to be when we were the students, right? I'm a student of the year when we never used to have the internet. Number one, let me tell you, I think I belong to one of those eras wherein we never had the mobile phones at luxury where you could really connect with someone so quickly, right? So it's always good to see the younger generation, which is much faster, and I think much more technological advanced. And you are amazed to look at the way the world has changed and the way the thought process of each student, right from whether you call it a Gen Z, you call millennials, or whatever definition or terminology you give it. It's always good, and it's very, very nostalgic to be speaking to the kids, because there was a time when you really went through your own journey, right? And you go back to the same emotions and you realize that, oh, you never had those luxuries of what till the kids have, right? And how the life would have been for us had it been that we were from your era. So it's always great. And two, it's always good because you have traversed your own journey of say 25 plus years. So what better way to connect with the students, in case you could leave some words of wisdom primarily to guide the younger generation, is the way I look at it.
So, the Gen Zs would literally love to hear something from the millennial college memories. We would love to hear your experiences from your college time.
Okay, so see, I'll tell you, me and Vikram, we were together in DAV College, Chandigarh, and that was the first time when we stepped out from a very small town. I don't know how many of you would heard the place. I'm sure because of Vikram, the people know what the town Palampur is. That we were very small town boys. Palampur used to be a very small town with a population of not beyond 30 or 1,000. And that was the time when our father took a call that he wanted us to study in a good college, and we moved out to Chandigarh for our studies, and we moved and took admission in DAV College, Chandigarh. So first of all, candidly, I think it was like a freedom coming from totally getting from a very strict environment where both parents, dad and mom, both were teachers, and you had a very strict environment of studies around. You straight away get into hostel that you're a free bird, right? That was the first feeling what we got, right? But after a few times, after a few months, we realized that we were getting homesick. And I can remember, I can share one of the episodes where after almost close to about 45 days, we felt very homesick. And we just thought that, why not go and pay a visit back to home, mom and dad. And we just took a bus and reached home. And it was almost close to what 12 o'clock in the midnight when we landed, and when we rang the bell. तो मॉम डैड एकदम देख के बिल्कुल भौचक्के से रह गया, ये दोनों कहाँ पे आ गए थे, व्हाट आर यू गाइस डूइंग हियर? सो हमको और झटका लगा कि एक तो हम शक्ल दिखाने आए हैं, देन मॉम डैड सेड व्हाई यू हियर, and then we actually had to lie that there's some strike in the college, so we didn't have a choice but to come back to the home. I think that's one of the fondest memories, when we got into the hostel. Two, I think it was always because you always have you're a little more matured when you graduate from a school to a college, right? Because college, was out of the city. In the school days, everybody was from the cantonment or everybody was local Palampur. But when we graduated to a college, we had people from Jammu and Kashmir, we had people from Himachal, we had people from Northeast, we had people from Mumbai, we had people from South, all walks of life, right? So primarily also, when we started engaging with the people around, you had your own classmates, you had your own hostel mates who were from different states, different religions around. So you started understanding the dynamics of those states respectively with respect to their culture, with respect to their upbringing. I think those are the beautiful days where we started getting to know life a little better, than merely coming in from a very small town, which is Palampur. And thirdly, I think also the exposure what one gets of becoming an independent when you stay in a hostel, right? Because you know that everything is to be done by you, right from while you have a mess, but everything right from washing your utensils, washing your clothes, ensuring that you're far more disciplined, that you don't miss out a lecture, also making out those times when you want to bunk the class, right? And then those night skippings out of the hostel to go and watch a movie. I think it was all a culmination of a lot of things which really transform you into a better human being when you grow up in life. These are some of the fondest memories I would say when we're in the hostel.
To our viewers, we would like to tell you that we are accepting live questions. So please drop in some wonderful questions which will be answered in the later part. For now, sir, I second you on your college stories. It's similarly the same.
Yeah.
We get to experience so many people around. And you have had an adventurous, I would like to say that you have had an adventurous time in your college. And today, you're even a greater person with dynamics, balancing multiple versatile roles: writer, banker, and speaker. I'm sure it must be challenging,
Yeah.
but what fuels your drive to explore such diverse paths?
Uh, See, I'll tell you again. I would put it into two or three buckets. One is that you have to leave the hat every time you pick up a new idea. So while you're a student, so and once you get into a profession, if you don't leave the hat of the student, you will never become a great professional. But it has an added, I would say, sign to it that you have to be very confident that you have to be a lifelong student. You cannot say that you know it all. Let me tell you, having spent 25 years in the banking, if I can say, right, this is my 26th year in the professional career, I wouldn't say that I'm a 100% banker. Reason is because every subject is so wide, number one. Everything is changing so fast that if you don't adapt to the changing environment, the changing world around you, reason is you're not driven only by your own economy, you're driven by the world economy today, right? And primarily I'm talking it from the banking perspective, that what happens in US, what happens in Europe, what happens in China, right? You have to keep yourself abreast. So while you're a student, you have to leave the hat, but you also have to be a lifelong student, number one. Number two, uh, I think a lot of times people fear that if I do something new, if I venture into something new, I personally believe that people don't venture out because they think that it's very, very difficult. But fundamentally, I believe that everything is difficult before it becomes easy. That's my personal experience also. And I'll quote it with an example that I was a regional head for Delhi, and I got elevated as a zonal head, and I was given a responsibility by the bank to set up the rural inclusive banking for North India. And let me tell you, I didn't even know the C of the credit because I was a hardcore sales guy, right? I was a pure retail banker. And when I was sent for this assignment, I moved out of Delhi to Chandigarh. And first 2-3 months, of course, I took little time in learning. But then, of course, I was given some credit powers by the bank that Vishal, you have this much of a sanction power for sanctioning a loan. Now think of a situation. I was in such a confused state that how do I now ensure that when I do a credit check, I'm not wrong in terms of taking my decision. I didn't even know, I'm telling you, C of the credit. So what happened? I had to get back to the books. And believe you me, I actually, made a guy who was almost 4 grades junior to me as my mentor. Because of course, grade doesn't make a difference. Let me tell you, when we become a professional, what counts is your business acumen, what counts is your knowledge, right? What counts is your appetite to have a clear understanding of the business. So I made it a point that I called a very junior guy who was the regional credit manager. He became my teacher, and I told him that you're my teacher and you can take as much class as I want. And for 30 consecutive days, I used to have a 1 hour class every day in the evening to learn credit from him. Reason is, what I learned during my management days. I'm sure many of you people would be doing, in case there are management graduates who are there in the forum today. Right? Whether you read financial management, whether you read Peter Drucker, whether you read Prasanna Chandra, right? You read I am Pandey. These will give you a lot of basics. But when you actually get into the field, the experience has to be very different. Right. So I had to get back to those days of learning the credit. 30 days I took a classroom coaching after my office hours on a whiteboard room. And this guy of mine, I really admire him. He used to give me homework. He used to give me balance sheets at home. Vishal, sir, this is homework for the day. Right? I used to go back home and study again. Because next day he used to ask me a lot of questions. So right, so I think that's the second thing what I really did. Third, I personally believe it's very, very important. People say मेरे पास time नहीं है. Let me tell you, it is all, I don't believe in this. Time is only, as I said at the start of the discussion, that it is always about how do you plan your day. So time management becomes very clear when you do multiple hats. And I'm a father of 2 kids. So I have to ensure that I give equal time to my kids also, right? So I make it a point, I start my day very early, right? I start my day early, I'm dot in the office at 9 o'clock sharp, right? And I wind up my day by, say, 6:40, 6:45, right? And then, of course, I know that beyond that, the time is for family. So to me, it is also about the basic discipline with which you start. कहते हैं कि एक saying है बहुत, which I'm sure you would have heard, that it's not the knowledge that decides the future. It's your habits which decide your future. So what habits you form as an individual, be it at a personal level or professional level, is what really culminates into a good leader or a good human being, I personally believe. And that's what I've been doing primarily managing different hands, and that's the way I've been able to manage it primarily. And also, I'll relate it. One last thing is that I always wanted to become a Fauji, right? I had my a dream of donning a uniform. Me and my brother had attended the first SB together. I was three times not recommended by the board. But then I said, okay, Destiny wanted me to do something else. That's okay. But then end of the day, I can always pick up the discipline what I've learned in my school days, because most of the fraternity what we dealt with was our friends were all around from the armed forces. So I think that has really helped me manage multiple roles, you would say, as a father, as a normal leader, as an employee, as a worker, or whatever. I'm not able to hear you. I'm not able to hear you, Amishi. Yeah.
So happy 25 years of professional life.
Thank you
And
so much.
we have been inspired the way you looked at life still as a student. And you're incredibly donning so many hats. Hats off, sir.
Thank you.
So those were some exceptional answers by you. Sir, I happen to have an elder brother, and I know that it is a universal truth that siblings often have their ups and downs.
Yeah.
What was your relationship like with your siblings?
So I'll tell you, we had a wonderful relationship, Vishal. I'll tell you, we have four siblings, two brothers and two sisters, and me and Vikram being identical twins. And I personally believe that the advantage of being a twin sibling and that to identical is that you spend 9 months extra in the mother's womb, right? So as a sibling, you'll always get. So if you're older by 2 years or younger by 2 years, you always have that time lag in terms of your bonding with the sibling, right? But fortunately, for me and my brother, right, our sisters were elder to us. So as a brother, of course, we shared a camaraderie because we were exactly we were look alike. And there used to be a lot of times when people used to get confused, teachers used to get confused, even mom used to get confused at times. One used to get spanked for the other's mistakes. It happened a lot of times. But I'll tell you, we built a camaraderie that we never felt that we need a company outside. Right? Being a twin sibling and being four siblings, we were good enough four people, in a home, and you managing your fights, you managing your laughters, you managing those pranks, you managing your life well together. Uh, we dreamt of donning the uniform together. That was a childhood dream, and we studied together. We cleared all our written exams together, and we used to really cheat around a lot in the exams. Let me tell you, because it was Vikram and Vishal, and during our school days, we used to have the alphabetical roll numbers, right? So our roll number generally हमेशा आखिर में आता था. A lot of times we used to prepare. For example, if it's a tough examination, so we used to do, okay, let's prepare 70%. So I'll prepare 70%, leave 30%. Vikram will prepare the other 70. So we used to share the answer sheets. I think that was the kind of the camaraderie we had. Third, I think we were great sports person. We started playing together. We picked up table tennis as a sport. We picked up martial art karate as a sport. We picked up roller skating as a sport. So I don't think in our lives together, with whatever 25 years I spent with him, we had a different taste. Be it sports, be it subjects, barring, of course, during our graduation, we studied, we took admission in the Bachelor's of Sciences, BSc Medical. And it was only after a year that I realized that I'm not enjoying BSc. So I did my BSc first year. Vikram continued his BSc first year, second, third year. I thought, not my cup of tea. I don't wish to study sciences anymore. So I wasted my 1 year. I passed my BSc first year and I went to commerce. Then I did my bachelor's in commerce, right? 3 years together. So that was the only, I think, different decision what I took. Otherwise, most of our decisions were made together. And with our sisters, of course, both the sisters are elder to us. I think very, very caring sisters. And, since we lost Vikram at the early age of 25, I was 24, of course. One would think 24 is a good age. But let me tell you, during our times, as I mentioned, that we never had the luxury of a mobile phones also. I think sisters for me became typically like a brother also, who really used to be very, very caring. They're still very caring. They took care of me like a son. Ki main chota beta hu unka, right? I think it's similar to what each one of you in the forum would have, right? पर शायद मुझे लगता है कि the world was slightly different from today's world, because अगर आपको एक आवाज नहीं मारनी होती थी ना, and I'm not saying it out of my whatever you see in the media today, I'm saying it from the personal experience what I had in my life, कि आप एक दूसरे को आवाज मार सकते थे. अभी क्या होता है ना, you always have that WhatsApp, you have Insta, you have Facebook, you have all the digital social media. So I think the bonhomie among all the four of us was very, very strong. It's still very, very strong with my sisters, is what I can say all about the bond between the brothers and sisters, I would say, rather, or siblings.
Sir, I'm sure your story resonates with a lot of people, and the dynamics all four of you had. I'm sure it is a dream for many, and many look up to that. Sir, any sweet memories from your childhood that you share with all your siblings that you'd like to share with us today?
There will be lots many, Vishal. If you ask me specifically with Vikram, of course, I think I've mentioned in the media, but I'll still say it that with me, there are a lot many. I'll tell you, I can't count on them. Reason is, but if you ask me one specific memory, which is most closest to my heart, is definitely, as I mentioned, that we both dreamt of joining the forces together. I was the first person in the SSB Allahabad, Service Selection Board Allahabad, to witness that Vikram has made it. I knew that Vikram has cleared his SSB. He's one out of the two twins who have come together for an SSB, and I would see him passing out, with the stars on his shoulder. And since we had knitted this dream together, and I couldn't make it, end of the day, as I mentioned, I was three times not recommended by the board. Vikram made it a point that I see the academy because it was my dream also. And it was October 1997 because he graduated from the academy in December 97. When Vikram invited me that Vishal, tu aisa kar ek baar aaja. And our nicknames were Love and Kush. He said, Kush, you come once to the academy. And I have already seen the academy. So मैंने उसको बोला मैंने academy देखा हुआ है यार. तो इसे तूने वैसे नहीं देखा तुझे जैसे मैं दिखा सकता हूँ, right? And out of the blue, it was just what around 50 odd days when he had to graduate. I just took a plunge. मुझे लगा चलो यार इतने प्यार से love बुला रहा है, इकट्ठा dream था. मैं गया. 4 days I spent in the academy. He made me stay like a cadet. I wore the cadet uniform. I used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. He used to lock his barrack from outside so that nobody sees me. Reason is, I'm not authorized to stay as a cadet, right? And in the whole of the day, I used to walk around in the academy like a cadet because there are 1,500 cadets. You don't get to know that there's somebody else who's moved in from outside, right? You're wearing a uniform, you're going out, you're wearing the same shorts. When he goes for a PT, I go and sneak in his barrack. He locks me up. He comes back to the PT, he unlocks me. I think that's the most fondest memory because the way I had dreamt that I would be a cadet one day, that couldn't happen. But he made it a point that I saw those 4 days wearing a gentleman cadet uniform in the academy.
So, having a sibling of my own who happens to be in the academy at this given time, I can deeply
Whoa.
resonate with the pride factor that one feels. One of us gets to wear that uniform and get the prestige of being there. So
Yeah.
I can deeply relate with your story, sir. And I hope I get a chance like you to go to that academy once and live like a cadet for a few
All the
days.
best. All
Uh,
the best.
yes, sir. Sir, again, one amongst the two boys, if it is a pair amongst the siblings, is supposed to be more notorious than the other. So, who amongst you was more notorious, and who got more scolding from parents?
It was Vikram.
It was
Yeah.
all right, sir. I think I can understand because the notorious one really is a best fit for the forge. That is what
Yeah.
the people from the forge says. So yes, sir, that's a brilliant answer. So that brings me to my next question. The
Yeah.
legacy your brother has left behind is a dream for many. However, the increasing competition is making it very difficult for achieving the dream and of joining the forces. What would you what message would you give to those who are tirelessly working every day to turn this dream into reality?
Uh, See, I'll tell you that I look into from two ways. One, a lot of times, you really try. I'll quote my own example that I'm three times not recommended. So would I say that I was a bad selection? I don't think so. Sometimes I think you have to leave it on the destiny, and I'm not giving a philosophical answer. That's my reality. Reason is I always end up believing it's the army laws. I think one Vikram Batra was enough. They never wanted a second Batra. That's what I fundamentally believe in, right? So I always say it's an army's loss. It's not my loss, right? Could be candidly. Secondly, that Kathan, life comes a complete circle. Today, in my present role, I'm a national business head managing the defense forces vertical for the bank. तो कहते हैं कि दुनिया गोल है. Somewhere, while I could not don a uniform, but today I serve the same men, right? And of course, I wanted to don a uniform which is the olive green because I wanted to become an army officer. But today I'm serving the forces, and I fundamentally call it the men in the uniform from all the fraternity, whether it's Indian Army, Indian Navy, Indian Air Force, Assam Rifles, Indian Coast Guard, other paramilitary forces, right? So that's not a philosophical, that's my honest feeling. With respect to my view and with my respect to message to the people around, a lot of times you have to stick to a dream. Could be possibly I could have tried third time, fourth time. Could be possibly I would have made it because I know I have a friend of mine who made it in the 11th attempt. Right? I'll not name him. He's a serving colonel of the Indian Army. And if I have to share the story with you, let me tell you, he was our classmate in DV College, Chandigarh. Of course, he was a part of the government college for when we were in DV College. And since कहते हैं ना कि वो college में जो आपकी bonding बनती है, that with some friends it stays forever till the time you die, right? Till your last breath. So this guy also wanted to become an army officer. And when we lost Vikram, तब तक उसका selection नहीं हुआ था. And when we got Vikram's coffin, so of course, there were thousands of people. Like if I remember vaguely, there were almost close to 40,000 people who had gathered to give the final goodbye to Vikram. But the day we received the coffin on 10th of July night, there were almost close to 3,000 people. We were waiting at the command hospital in Palampur, and when the coffin came, and the deputy commandant of the military hospital said that I won't allow so many people to gather. So I'll allow only one or two people from the family who can come. We'll open the coffin, and you have to recognize. That's a norm basically. When you receive a coffin. So this guy, this officer, without naming him, he said, "Kush bhai, मैं ना अंदर जाना चाह रहा हूँ आपके साथ because I want to take Vikram's blessings because that was his last attempt." And he knew that Vikram also wanted him to become an army officer, but unfortunately he had not made. And you won't believe it, the next 2 days, so we received the coffin on 10th July 99. I'm talking 10 July 99 night. 12th July 99, he had to report at Sultania Infantry Lines in SSB Bhopal. He didn't even attend the cremation. He just touched Vikram's feet. He just saluted him. He said, "Bhai, this is my last attempt. I hope I make it." And you won't believe that guy made it. So a lot of times you will see that you have to stay at it. Sometimes we give up. Or kya hota hai, you have already crossed the hurdles and it's the last hurdle, but you don't know it's the last hurdle. That's number one message. Number two, it takes a lot of courage and patience to be at it. Right? Agar aap mujhe aaj bologe, you tell me, Vishal, this is one weapon for you. Go and join the uniform. Wear the uniform. I'll do it. But unfortunately, my age is not on that side. I'm 50 plus now, right? I could have done that, but of course, I also had a little pressure from my family that I thought of joining a territorial army because, of course, my age got over. I moved out of the age bracket where I could really compete in the competition, and I did, show my intention to my parents. But having lost one son, they were little apprehensive that why don't you do this now, right? Right? I wish I could have done it. It's not that I could not have done it, but I never wanted to go beyond that because, having lost a sibling at the age of 24, parents having lost their young son, right? It was difficult for me to take the decision. And then, of course, I had a lot of advices coming in from my sisters, my friends, and all. Honestly telling you this. I've never spoken in the public forum, but let me tell you openly in the public forum today. Right? I had that pressure also. So sometimes what happens is you succumb to pressure. Sometimes you don't succumb to pressure. So second message to the people is you will have the pressure, but don't succumb to the pressure. Third, unfortunately, I'm saying unfortunately, and this is my personal view and my apologies if I'm wrong. Aajkal kya na, people don't want to put a lot of hard work. They want to achieve that success immediately कि मुझे आज ये मिल जाए. ऐसा नहीं होता कभी life में. Let me tell you, I'm only giving a genuine practical view on the life that it's always a journey, whether it's a personal journey or it's a professional journey or it's a journey of your horizontal growth or vertical growth. It's a journey. People want to become, I want to, be a general manager in the next 5 years. You go and ask the fundamentals of the life, the people who know it. So you have to take it as a journey. You have to take it as a destination. You have to keep on improving also. As I mentioned, the fourth point which becomes very critical is that you have to be, and you just said, Amishi just said, the world is becoming very, very competitive, very, very competitive. Today, you know what to learn. Tomorrow it becomes stale, let me tell you. That's the world you guys live in. And fortunately, during us, we never had that miss. During our times, we had a very limited choice of a profession. Let me tell you, आप क्या करेंगे? आप फौज करेंगे, फौज नहीं करेंगे तो डॉक्टरी कर लेंगे, आप इंजीनियरिंग कर लेंगे, या आप बैंक पीओ कर लेंगे. During my time, when I did my master's in finance, we had only three choices, three subjects: marketing, finance, HR. Today, I'm asking you, how many streams do you have in MBA? I'm sure nothing less than 20. Correct? So the world has changed that way. So my third or fourth message to the audience would be that keep yourself abreast. That's also very, very important, to be really competitive in the market so that you reach to the dream what you're dreaming of. That's the way I look at it. That's the way I've seen life around in the last 25 years, so 26 years.
So those were some exceptionally good principles that you gave us. And sir, while you were speaking, a thought resonated. How beautiful is the fact that even after leaving us, Captain Batra still stays on to motivate a lot of people, just like the colonel who attempted his 11th SSB and got in. So it's just
Yes.
beautiful.
Thank
And
you. Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing those principles with us.
Let's shift some gears and go to a quick rapid fire round. So, are you ready?
Yes, sure. I'll try answering. Should be
Okay.
easy.
Okay, sir. Has there been a book or a movie that has deeply impacted you and changed your perspective on life?
Of course, barring Shersha, I won't say reason is because Shersha was the one which was our idea primarily to give the story of Captain Vikram to the world around. But one movie which me and Vikram really loved was Prahar.
Okay, sir. Uh, if you could eat any one type of cuisine, what would it be?
Rajma and Chawal.
That's my favorite too, sir.
Great.
What's something people would be surprised to learn about you?
I'm sorry?
What's something that people would be surprised to learn about you?
Would be surprised. At times I can be nasty, though I'm not, but at times I can be nasty.
One rule you always break.
Tough one to answer. One rule I always break. A lot of times I've resolved that I'll not eat sweets, but I've ended up breaking it most of the times. Is what is occurring immediate in my mind.
And coming from Palampur, what's that one food or dish you would love to recommend to us and our viewers?
So there's a beautiful restaurant called Joy Restaurant. If you go down there, you can try their papdi chaats. It's one of the best. And believe you me, I'm talking, we used to have it in 1980s, yeah. And today also when I go and visit, it's the same thing what I still eat.
A fashion moment you loved following in your college life?
Fashion moment, wearing a red color t-shirt with a blue denim in the college annual functions.
That's, yes. Uh, if you had the chance to try a sport from apart from your marathons, what would you choose?
I would I used to love playing squash, so I might pick squash as one sport which. And why I do mention this because me and Vikram started playing together, after graduation. But Vikram became a great squash player because he picked it up as one of the games in academy, and उसका पूरा तकिया कलाम होता था कि जब भी वो when he graduated as a second lieutenant and of course he became a lieutenant, तो कभी भी छुट्टी पे आता था तो he used to have his rucksack and rucksack के right side में उसका हमेशा squash का racket होता था. And I always used to be very envious यार तेरे को तो cantonment में मिल जाते हैं because every cantonment has a squash court, but unfortunately I never had that luxury of being an army cantonment post my 12th class. So squash is one what I would pick up.
Sir, a language you wish to learn?
I would love to learn a South India language. Yeah. Reason is either one of the South Indian. It could be Tamil, it could be Kannada, it could be Telugu. Right? They're tough languages, something what I can compare with the Mandarin. Right? So in case I have to think of, I don't wish to say that I would love to learn Chinese or Arabic, because I would love to learn any Indian language from the southern states.
So, if you were to write a book on yourself,
Yeah.
what would it be?
My journey with my brother.
We would love to read that book if it gets published.
I mean, one day for sure.
So you answered all the questions exceptionally, and trust me, many things have been added to my list. Be it the restaurant that you mentioned, or be it the fashion statement. I'm sure many must be looking up to that. Sir, let's get back to the questions.
Sure.
Recently, you had the honor of climbing the expedition point 1540 on July
5140.
24th.
5140.
Yes, on Kargil Vijay Divas, marking 25 years since the Kargil War. How did you feel to stand at that point after 25 years, especially as you did it on your brother's 50th birthday in his honor?
So Vishal, thanks. I think this was very close to my heart right from the day we had lost him. And as I mentioned that the dream was always of donning the uniform. And I actually wanted to see that what, Vikram and all the fellow officers, I would say rather, right? Because climbing one peak in the memory of Vikram is one part, but I fundamentally believe that all the young bravados we lost, whether Vikram or Manoj Pandey, Anuj Nayyar, Vijay Thapar, the list goes on, right? Saurabh Kalia. One that I wanted to see that how difficult it would have been for them to climb, and I actually wanted to visit that. Is it worth fighting a battle in those mighty peaks, right? And I wanted to really, and as I mentioned that we were identical twins. This was a dream post. Losing that, I want to see when Vikram, radioed the message "ये दिल मांगे मोरा" ऐसा क्या होगा उस peak में कि उसको लग रहा था that he still wanted to be in that peak for some more time, right? So I thought, what better way to pay a tribute, because we turned 50 years last year, 9th September 24, and that was the one reason behind the feeling. I think it was very, very emotional. I'll be very honest. Very, very emotional. Reason is, I took almost close to पौने 5 घंटे to climb 6.5 hours. It was an 85-degree angle at a height of 17,200 feet. And incidentally, it was snowing that day with a 0-degree temperature. And it was very difficult stretch, because after every 15 or 20 steps, you had to take a breath, right? Uh, Emotional reason is because I thought, when I climbed up, I was not carrying any, bag on my back. I was not carrying a weapon. And I was just wondering that how each of these people would have climbed with a weight of a 5 kg of an AK-47 and another 12 kg, bag on their back. And when you have the army bombardment coming right from the top, enemy bombardment coming right from the top, you're at an 85-degree angle. You have the bullets, you have the arty shells, you have the bombs, right? You have everything coming your way. How difficult it would have been for those men in the uniform to really climb and annihilate the enemy from those mighty peaks. So it was very, very emotional. Uh, Two, I always thought that it'll give me some connect with my brother, right? Because I did the first expedition in 2019, which was 0.4875, which is now called as the Batra top. I did that much earlier. I did that on 20th year of the Kargil Vijay Divas, which was 2019. And incidentally, I did that exactly on the day when we lost Vikram. We did it on 7th of July 2019, right? And I remember having given a call to my dad. और डैड ने मुझे तब पूछा कि व्हेन आई कॉल्ड हिम अप कि डैड ने मुझे पूछा कि तुमको कैसा लग रहा है वहां बैठ के बत्रा टॉप पे. So I told my dad, I wish this call was given by Vikram 20 years back. Right? So I actually felt that I wish Vikram was there to tell the story what I'm telling to you by himself. The reason is, so could be possibly I'm blessed by the Almighty that I'm his twin sibling and I'm talking in front of you guys and addressing the forum. But deep in my heart, Vishal and Amishi, let me tell you, I always believe, I wish he was there to tell his story by himself. It would have been a different aura, let me tell you this. Right? I wanted to hear the story by him. Right? I remember, because as I mentioned, we never had the luxury of the phones. I have some of the letters written to me, by Vikram from the battlefield. और वो मुझे हमेशा लगता था कि I'm trying to reach on your office numbers. Your numbers are very busy. Because as I mentioned, there were mobile phones, but Unfortunately, I didn't have the luxury. I was just in the start of my career. It used to be 16 rupees an outgoing call, 8 rupees an incoming call. Right? Think of that. If the tariffs are today, how many people will abandon their mobile phones? Right? So I wish, so it was very emotional, both in terms of missing Vikram a lot, understanding that what these men in the uniform do for us. वो कहते हैं ना कि वो जो तिरंगा लहरता है वो ऐसा नहीं लहरता बॉस. It is definitely the breath of these people. And believe you me, that my favorite line is, when you go home, tell them of us, we gave out today for your tomorrow. I realized it when I was on the peak. And third, what I actually felt, we all are, I did mention in one of my talks earlier, I believe that हम जितने भी मनुष्य हैं, we are all made of 5 elements: Jal, Vayu, Agni, Prithvi, Akash. So when you go and see those mighty peaks now, it keeps you wondering, what is the sixth element what a Fauji has? हम सब 5 elements, including you, Amishi, all the forum, including me. But then one sixth element is there, which only that Fauji knows there. Is the feeling what I got when I was actually there in those mighty peaks.
So the description you gave of that terrain and the description of the site that our men must be facing back then really explains the gravity of what the fight might have looked like, and it increases my respect, which is already a lot for our men, many folds. Sir, for our viewers who are watching you for the first time, we have designed a small activity for you that
Sure.
will help them know you better. So,
Sure.
sir, it is called this or that. In this, we'll
Okay.
give you a question with 2 options, and you have to choose one.
Okay.
So, are you ready, sir?
Sure.
Uh, Sir, wealth or wisdom? Which one would you choose?
Wisdom.
All right. Marathons or climbs?
Climbs now. Marathons have done enough.
All right. City life or countryside?
Countryside.
Amazing. Books or movies?
Combination.
Right. Live without TV or smartphone?
TV.
That's a tough
Smartphone.
one, I believe.
Smartphone, you can watch everything. TV.
Right. Okay. Uh, Instagram or Twitter?
In reality, nothing. I'm sorry, I'm digressing, but in reality, nothing.
Half marathon? That's completely understandable, sir. Half marathons or full marathons?
Half. I've never done full in my life. Only half.
Okay. So this is a tough one. At least that is what we believe. In the world of banking, who
Yeah.
would you say are the A's? The clients, the managers, or the numbers?
The clients.
Ah, that really touches our heart. And you answered all the questions very brilliantly.
Sir, from your inspiring story of your climb to 0.5140 and Batra Talk
Yeah.
0.4875, I happen to share a Mirza Ghalib ki शायरी which says, रगों में दौड़ते फिरने के हम नहीं कायल, जब आंखों से ही ना टपका तो फिर लहू क्या है.
Whoa. So
this is by
let me,
Mirza Ghalib, and
yeah, this is by Mirza Ghalib, yes. So okay, so what I'll do is, this is a. Can you repeat this?
yes, sure.
Yeah.
रगों में दौड़ते फिरने के नहीं हम कायल,
Yeah.
जब आंखों से ही ना टपका तो फिर लहू क्या है.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. That's lovely. That's lovely.
Audience and people drop a ye dil mange more as we go from a this or that to a thoughtful anecdote.
So I want to add. So,
1999.
Amishi, I'm sorry. So I want to add one thing.
Sorry, no sir,
So
please.
I want to add one share. Which I offered. It's not my written, but of course I'll read it out for the audience around. This says that मेरी पहचान ना पूछे ज़मानों को, right? मेरी पहचान ना पूछो ज़माने को, क्या हमारी कहानी है? हमारी पहचान तो सिर्फ ये है कि हम सिर्फ हिंदुस्तानी हैं.
वाह सर वाह.
Yeah.
So continuing, 1999 में हम बच्चे जुनूनी योद्धाओं को सल्यूट करने के लिए तो नहीं थे, पर शेरशाह जैसी फिल्म ने डेफिनेटली हम सबको गूजबम्स दिए हैं, और ऑडियंस में बैठे सभी के लिए इट वाज अ मोमेंट, इट हैज कॉन्कर्ड आवर हार्ट्स. For you, which was that one scene from Shersha that stands out the most?
See, in reality, we've been the storytellers, right? I was thickly involved in the making of the movie for a period of 4 years, and the entire movie is a testimony to what Vikram had done. And I wish we could have made it in the form of a series, because the world around could have seen a larger part of Vikram's life. I would say, rather, because movie you have to concise it, within a time horizon of 2 hours or a little less than that. But the one scene which was, which touched my heart, uh, is the time when he was actually venturing out on the second mission to actually save the life of Captain Naveen, right? Who was firing around and got a bullet injury. And when Vikram said that to his one of these Subedar majors that मैं ऊपर जाता हूँ, you stay back, right? I think it needs a lot of courage to take the decision. And to me, I don't know if I'm a right person to answer this, but I always keep wondering every day in my life कि उस वक्त विक्रम के दिमाग में क्या चला होगा, because Vikram knew that he's not going to be back. Somewhere उसको लगा होगा ये चीज, right? And Vikram had his own family. Could be possibly he was not married, but he had a twin sibling. He had two sisters. He had parents, and I think that was a moment which really touched my heart. That it needs a lot of courage to show, and that's the reason you always say, sacrificing your life in the highest traditions of the Indian Army, right? So I think that was one. I think is what really touched my one scene which really touched my heart. But I knew the story always, though, right, end to end. But then in the movie also, I think the same scene I would counter as one of the best scenes.
सर डेफिनेटली विक्रम सर के अपनी कैमराडरी के चर्चे तो बहुत रहे हैं, with his fellow people, with his seniors, to everybody, even in his friend circle. And I love the way it has been depicted in the film. And I second you with the fact that the way he said कि आप बाल बच्चे वाले हो साहब,
Yes,
मैं
yes,
ऊपर जाता हूँ.
yeah,
It was definitely one of the moving scenes when you realize that he's at the gunpoint
yeah,
for the nation.
yeah.
And it is very amazingly depicted by the actor Siddharth Malhotra, the way he portrays
Yeah.
that whole scene. And what was it like for you as you have been involved in the making for over 5 years? So, how was it meeting him?
It was very difficult. You have to. So every time you narrate the story, it is one, of course, that we narrated to them because they were the directors, and of course, he was the director. Sorry, he was the actor who had to enact Vikram. We would say the real Vikram and the real Vikram, right? So he had to prepare himself with respect to what Vikram had done. But to me, I wouldn't call it as narrating only it to the production house. To me, every time narrating a story, when you meet across somebody and asks you, Vishal, what all happened, right? It's a very, very painful moment. Very painful moment, because you have to live those painful days time and again, time and again, time and again. So it's not been an easy journey, because you know that it has already happened. But I believe the only solace was that since it was our own dream to you know to get Vikram on the curtain, primarily talking about his heroic deeds, talking about his valor. We wanted the story to reach every corner of the world around. So that's the solace of the movie. But otherwise, for us, it's always been a very painful journey. You can always keep as many smiles, but deep into the heart, loss is a loss, right? A lot of people say time is a great healer. Let me tell you, it's not about time healing it. It's only that you learn to live with it. That's my real experience of the life. Right? Every time you'll call me and you'll get into some little discussions which are more. If you get into more detail about Vikram, you always end up cracking. You always end up tearing it down. Right? So it's been a but since you mentioned about the movie, it's been a beautiful journey, because we were very happy the kind of the response for the entire country. People would have given it to this movie. We loved it the way we the people showered so much of a love to this movie. I think that says it all in terms of the comfort what you draw, and you realize that your objective was not to make anything out of the movie. Our objective is only that story reaches. So when you saw so much abundance of love, coming in from all the people, that what a brilliant movie, what a movie, itna time lag gaya movie banane mein. I think that's something where what really keeps you going.
This story definitely conquered hearts and won the national award.
Yeah, yeah.
Sir, your answer really draws a picture for the reason why it got so much success. Sir, during our research, we came across the fact that our nation's pride, Param Vir Chakra awardee, Lead Captain Vikram Batra, joined the National Cadet Corps at the age of just 19. Sir, just like him, we have many viewers today who happen to be
Okay.
from the NCC. Do you have
Brilliant to know
any
that.
message or any tip for these young people?
So only I'm very happy to know that in case you have NCC wing, and I'll tell you, it does not make a difference whether you choose army as a career. Of course, primarily those NCC cadets, because a lot of time people think that I'll get a A certificate, B certificate, or C certificate, and I'm going to choose army as a career. The only message I would leave is that it's so brilliant to see that you have a wing, because I believe that NCC makes you very disciplined from the day one. You don't need to become a Fauji to become really disciplined. All right, I wouldn't say that a lot of people who are not Fauji or not the NCC cadets are not disciplined. I don't mean that at all. But I think I'm sure the inculcation of the habits of what the army ethos or the men in the uniform teaches you right is right there with you guys. So keep at it, and I'm sure whether you aspire to become the Fauji, all my wishes to you, and happy to see that. I think that's the only message. I'm sure they would have learned the camaraderie building. One, they would have learned the discipline. They would have learned the basic habits. They would have learned how the army functions, the men in uniform functions. I think it will go a long way in terms of defining their own career, irrespective of the profession they choose. So be at it. I'm very happy to hear that.
So thank you so much for that message. And indeed, keeping the army ethos close to your heart really makes a difference in one's life. So before we move towards the end of this stellar dialogue, we have some questions from our beloved viewers.
Sure.
So are you ready for them?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So one of our viewers want to know, what is one childhood game that was your favorite growing up while you were growing up?
I'm sorry, I didn't miss out. What was one?
One game that was your favorite while you were growing up.
So table tennis was a game we started playing when we were just in class 5. And luckily, both me and Vikram ended up representing our school in All India Nationals. Vikram represented in 1990. I represented in 1991. And I continue to play till today, but of course, I don't play at that level now. I continue till my inter-university level. And after that, of course, once I got into my professional journey, I had to give it up. But I've started playing off and on because my son is also a national player, luckily in table tennis. So I sometimes play with him now. Then he goes to the club.
That's really great to know that your son is a national level player. All the very best to him for his future
Thank you so
endeavors.
much. Thank you so much.
Sir, another viewer wants to know that which book happens to be your favorite?
I've read many. I'll tell you, my favorite book until now. So I tell you, I've been reading philosophical. I've been reading the management novels. I think very difficult to answer though. Reason is because I keep on reading. Outliers by Malcolm, I would say, is one of the good books I've liked.
All right, sir. I'll definitely give that a read, just like our viewers.
Sure.
So thank you so much for answering their questions. They were great.
With this, our coffee pot is emptied for the day. Don't worry, we'll be back with fresher brew and new beans filled with energy.
So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and providing such amazing insights. On behalf of everyone watching us today, as well as those who will watch this video in the future, I can confidently say that every moment of today's dialogue was truly worth watching, and every lesson you shared is worth remembering for a lifetime. Thank you once again for joining us, sir.
Thank you so much, Vishal. Thank you so much, Mishi, and thank you for having me here in the Kalliope Coffee. And I just love the show, and I hope I could really bring in some wisdom to the lovely young kids, lovely students around, right? And
You
thanks to the
surely
entire
did, sir.
fraternity. Thank you so much.
And thank you so much to our lovely audience for tuning in today.
Don't forget to show your love for this episode on KSAG's official YouTube channel. For more exciting content, make sure to follow Calliope's Instagram page.
Thank you so
With
much.
this, we conclude episode 3, season 4 of Coffee with Calliope from the House of Calliope, the official anchoring society of KIIT. It was an absolute privilege to have you, sir.
Thank you so
Thank you
much, and
once
all my
again for
wishes and
joining us.
blessings to everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, and all my wishes and blessings to all of you for a rewarding career as you step into the next journey of life. Yeah, God bless you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your
Thank
wishes,
you
sir.
so much.
And
We are
thank you
blessed.
once again for joining
Thank
us.
you.
Vishal
Batra
Batra
signing off.